Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat Top 10. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner Samu.
Thanks, Fatu. Gary Rhodes, everybody.
And the topic of this week's Top 10 is the Top 10 Finishers. And I'll go ahead and let you start because I'm the finisher.
Our number 10 move is one of the most deadliest submission moves from ECW. The Taz Mission.
Beat me if you can.
Survive if I let you. Okay. Anyways, or it's also known by
the Katahajime.
This move here was such an awesome maneuver, and the way Taz would put it on, I mean, you really thought whoever was putting it on was legitimately getting choked out.
Well, it's basically a modified rear naked choke from the real world of judo, and that was Taz was really the first wrestler to incorporate MMA into wrestling. He was the first guy that had people tap out to him, and this was his finisher move, and this is what made him a destroyer in ECW. Then off of that, he also had the Taz Mission Plex, which was just brutal. And we'll go right into our number 9, another submission move, known by two different names. We got the Sharpshooter, aka the Scorpion Deathlock, done by such greats as Bret Hart, Owen Hart, and Sting. And the best of them all, The Rocks.
I think the person that puts that move on the best had to have been Owen Hart. Owen Hart, when he locked it in, it looked like it was done time. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, and Bret was really good. Sting was sloppy with it a few times. I seen a couple times where he didn't even sit back. Especially as of late, he's terrible with it. But overall, that move probably won more world championship matches than almost any other move on this list.
Oh, our number 8, we're out of submissions. We're into the knockout moves. The GTS Go to Sleep.
What time is it, Gary?
Time for you to get knocked out. It's clobbering time? Anyways.
I tried to serve him up.
He does sometimes, and I just screw it all up. Anyways, this move here in America is most popularly used by CM Punk.
But it was invented by Kenta, and he blatantly stole it from him, and he admits he stole it from him.
He admits he did. But he had the Anaconda Vice beforehand, and it was a good maneuver, but he needed a good finisher, and I think that this move fits him the best. I mean, he's put so many greats in this maneuver. You talked about The Rock earlier. The Rock has felt to go to sleep. John Cena has felt to go to sleep. Brock Lesnar has felt to go to sleep.
Curtis Axel. Oh, you said greats. I'm sorry.
Not soon to be greats. Anyways, I honestly think this was one of my favorite of the modern day wrestling era. This is one of my favorite finishers.
And it's definitely one of the ones of the last 10 or so years that have come out that has been really pretty much something new. Now, speaking of something new, we're going back to something old, something that probably has been done since the dawn of wrestling, and something that I guarantee everybody that's watching this has tried on their brothers or sisters or friends at some point or another. Our number 7 is the Figure 4 leg lock. Woo! Made famous by the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers.
And The Miz.
And the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
He puts it on so good.
And Greg Valentine. Greg the Hammer Valentine had a really good figure.
He had a nasty figure 4, yeah. Miz has a nasty one, like it's freaking disgusting to look at. But I just don't, this move here was one of the biggest moves, one of the best moves in the territory days.
Yeah.
I don't think it's won as many titles as you think it would have, though. You're talking about, like, with the Taz Mission or the Sharpshooter, where they've won belts with those, especially the Sharpshooter earlier. I don't think a lot of title changes have happened with the Figure 4.
Now, Flair cheated to win most of his titles.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy Rogers won a lot with it. And won the Intercontinental title was something both Tito Santana and Greg Valentine used it. One of the great all-time moves, and like I said, one that everybody tries at least sometime or another that's a wrestling fan.
All right, well, our number 6, you mentioned the Intercontinental title. The Perfectplex. Mr. Perfect.
Or the Fisherman Suplex.
Perfectplex. Anyway, the Perfectplex was Mr. Perfect's finishing maneuver. or the fisherman suplex. A lot of people used it, but when Hennig would use this move, pretty much you knew it was done.
Well, I think the difference would be the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, you could say what you want to about my boy, but the man had a great bridge with this move. I never seen him do it sloppy. You know, you see a lot of guys do moves with bridges, and that's their move, but as they get older, it gets sloppy. Even until he died.
That's because he didn't get older. He died at like 42.
Yeah, but in this business, that's not that young. Plus, he had serious back problems before that, too.
Yeah.
But he still wasn't
if
sloppy.
you were face up at the lights every night, your back would hurt, too.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Now, they try to use this move nowadays with his son, but his son has a new, like a neck breaker, which I think that works out pretty good for him.
I like it. I think it's been marginalized, kind of like the one we're going to talk about in a moment, by people using it as a setup move more than a finisher. I thought it was for his character, for the time. I think it fit the character, it fit the time, and no one did it better than Kurt, except for everybody else that's ever did it.
I was waiting for that.
He has the second best theme music in wrestling. Everybody else is tied for first.
Okay.
Now our number 5, much like the Perfectplex, has become marginalized over time, but it's at the time it was invented, and for a very long time it was a very dangerous and finishing killer move basically, and that's the DDT. Invented by Jake the Snake Roberts, who used it to perfection. Other guys such as Tommy Dreamer, Raven, Arn Anderson have used it as a finishing move.
What was your favorite variation of the DDT?
I think either Jake or Raven.
I like it. I like Raven's version of it because he'd almost goad him into it, and then it's not just take him out with it. You know, he was very. Jake with Jake and Raven, they were both very methodical wrestlers, and the DDT was just as much of a part of their story, as it was their finishing maneuver, I think.
And for the time, it looked violent.
Well, just ask Ricky Steamboat how violent it was. He put him on wrestle for a couple months with that.
Oh, that's because he DDT'd him on the concrete.
On concrete, yeah.
But it was that kayfabe or no?
No, that was legit. He came up with you seen his face when he came up. There was no makeup there, buddy.
Yeah. But the DDT, and nowadays everybody uses it. Rock uses it. Miz uses it. It's just a normal move and like a body slam. But when done correctly, the DDT could be dangerous.
Now, speaking of dangerous, our number 4 is a tag team maneuver by your favorite tag team in the world, the 3D. This move here, I've only seen one person's ever kicked out of that, right? We were talking about that earlier.
Only person I can remember that's ever kicked out of it is Chris Sabin. And it's basically what it is. It's a flapjack with an ace crusher on the end. To me, it was just. It beats out the Doomsday device, in my opinion, because they could hit it from anywhere. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of times that you didn't even see both of them in the ring, and Bubba would fly into the ring to hit it on the back end.
Yeah. Well, like we said with the Doomsday device, which was a great maneuver in itself.
Yeah.
There was a lot of setup involved in that move. Boom, they could just hit it out of nowhere with the 3D, especially in the matches they had with Edge and Christian and the Hardys. Because you had 6 guys in a ring and all that hodgepodge and boom it right out of nowhere.
Or Balls and Axel.
Yeah.
They would hit it on, anything, anywhere, through tables, through flaming tables, through thumbtack tables. And like you said, as far as I can remember, there's only been one person that's kicked out of it. Now, that might not mean a lot, but in, wrestling's a scripted world. But in the overall aura of the move, it's won them more tag team championships than anybody in the history of wrestling.
Exactly.
Now our number 3 move is from a guy that's won a ton of championships as well. And it's kind of a simple move. It's the Macho Man Randy Savage elbow drop. Been done nowadays, it's being done by Jay Lethal, he calls it Hail to the King. CM Punk does it, they just call it an elbow drop. Shawn Michaels did a variation of it.
The only difference with Shawn's was, Randy's looked more like it was going to hurt you. Shawn's was more of a thing of beauty. It was coming down more of a show.
Macho's was beautiful.
Oh, it was, but it looked like it was going to hurt you, though. I mean, it looked more damaging.
Well, Macho was also a lot bigger than Michaels.
Yeah. But the difference with Michaels was he could hit his from both angles. But Macho just looked like he buried that elbow right in your chest.
And the reason I think that it's so high on this is it's so iconic. You can't think of the Macho Man without the Macho Man elbow.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, like we said, he's won multiple championships. The only person that he couldn't really beat with it was the Ultimate Warrior when he dropped, what, 5 of them on him?
I think it was more than that. I was just watching that match the other day. I can't remember how many. I think it was like up to 7 of them. But it was back to back. I mean, that just shows you what kind of athlete the Macho Man was. I mean, he'd drop it, climb right back up in the ropes, drop another one, climb back up in the ropes. I mean, that was the perfect move for that wrestler.
Yeah. And Jay Lethal does an awesome version of it, as well as CM Punk. I really wish at some point, you know, CM Punk would finish somebody with that to bring the prestige back.
He has finished Viscera with it. He did finish Viscera with it because he couldn't put him up to go to sleep. So
No, because after that he put him into the Anaconda Vice.
he did it. They fought each other twice. It was when Savage died. He first did it. He beat Viscera with it, and then he did the Anaconda Vice afterwards.
Either way. But altogether, a great move for a great wrestler. Like you said, it fit the character perfectly.
Now, our number 2 maneuver really fit this character. The Stone Cold Stunner. The man would hit it out of anywhere. He'd put anybody in it, male, female, elderly, young, didn't matter. They were feeling
Referee,
announcer, McMahon.
Face, heel.
Oh, yeah. Remember the build-up?
Truck driver.
Remember the build-up to the '98 Royal Rumble, where he just kept stunning everybody up till the Rumble,
Yeah.
and then everybody was looking for him, and he ended up winning it.
Yeah. And the funny thing I always thought was funny, is he gets the stunner after he drops the stunning Steve Austin knee.
Yeah.
Just a little, in my opinion, it was a little bit quirky to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was a much better move than when he was using, what was it, the slingshot suplex for a finish? No, he was using the stun gun, which was the hot shot.
Yeah.
Which is a good move in itself, but the stunner fit him perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Well, he could hit it out anywhere.
The
He
worst,
in the ring.
worst stunner ever, Vince or Linda?
I'm going Linda.
Linda just died.
Yeah, she just Linda.
Where Vince took it awkwardly.
And then he gets that little shake afterwards. It's like, really, dude? You kind of embarrassing me. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that move just fit him perfectly.
Now, before we get into our number 1 finisher of all time, we do a little thing on our top 10s called the best of the rest. Basically, these are the moves that just barely missed the list. And this is in no particular order. I'll go ahead and let you start it off, Gary.
Well, we mentioned earlier the Code Breaker. The Code Breaker, when Jericho came out with it, I think it was an awesome maneuver. It was a variation of the backstabber, but it was just with the front. But a lot of people are using it now and kind of taking away from it, I think. Kind of like we were talking about with the
DDT and the figure 4 and the Perfectplex. Another one is the super kick, aka the sweet chin music, used primarily by Chris Adams, Yokozuna, and Shawn Michaels with the most success. Since then, everybody has a variation of it now, and it's really become another move. But the sweet chin music from Shawn Michaels, probably one of the better finishing moves. It was an instant knockout, instant win.
The RKO, or the Ace Crusher, or whatever we want to call it.
Diamond Cutter.
You know, like you said,
The original name's the Ace Crusher.
Yeah.
Johnny Ace created it.
It's an awesome move. You can hit it from anywhere, and just like I said, a lot of different people use different variations.
The master of it was I'd say DDP was the master.
He'd hit it anywhere.
He could hit so many different variations off the ropes, running, anything. Now another one, the tag maneuver that we mentioned earlier, the Doomsday Device. The only reason this is even on the list is because of how vicious it was and how it seemed to destroy anybody it hit.
One of my favorite power moves that didn't make the list, the Power Bomb. You know, you had so many greats: Vader, Psycho Sid, Kevin Nash, Diesel, whatever you call them. So many different variations of it.
the Doctor Bomb,
Yeah.
sit out Batista Bomb.
Well, because you could do this maneuver in different ways. I mean, you could sit down like Batista. You could just drop him like Nash. You can go down with him like Sid. There's just so many different variations of the power bomb.
Yeah. And I think the reason it misses the list is basically because everybody does it now.
Yeah.
Now that was our best of the rest. Now, before we go into number one, if you guys like our list, if you think we put something up too high, something up down too low, if we missed a move altogether, let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where?
Down there.
Right down in the comments. And I'll go ahead and give us the number one. Everybody get your shovels out. The number one move the finishing move in wrestling history, the pedigree.
I'll bury you, brother.
And the one reason that we put the pedigree above everything else, there's the look of it. It looks like it legitimately could hurt you. The effectiveness, Triple H, one of the most effective wrestlers in the history of wrestling. That was pretty redundant.
That was.
Anyway, and everything all together, the fact that it's barely been kicked out of, the fact that it looks like it would have legitimately hurt you, and the fact that it's been used by one of the most successful wrestlers ever.
And he's used it in so many different personas too, as still being Triple H. You know, the Blue Blood version, he'd use it and it would look like, wow, this guy's hitting this hard ass move and he looks like such a pussy. And then when he, turns into the badass Triple H, the move even fits him more.
Yeah. And it helped to bury.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I buried alive match. That's what he needs.
Anyway.
I got a shovel.
I got the shovel. Where's Booker T? I should have put him over a
couple times.
But the pedigree, in my opinion, and a true life story. I hit my former roommate Kevin with a pedigree on the concrete and damn near killed him one time.
Sure did.
And I followed it up with a power bomb onto the hood of my car.
You sure did.
Anyway, basically that's all we got for this. Is there anything you needed to add?
That's it, man.
My name is George Coles.
I'm Gary Rhodes.
And this has been Heel Heat.